Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Inept General bringing you another Total War Warhammer news update. And yesterday we got a bit more details on Count Noctilus. Now, the day before yesterday, we all but confirmed that Count Noctilus was one of the legendary lords in the upcoming Vampire Coast DLC pack. But now we have it officially confirmed. We get a much better look at him, and we get a lot of details about how his faction is going to function. So let's give that all a quick look, and let's start off by having a look at what Noctilus looks like himself. And I have to say, I think they've done a really fantastic job of bringing to life the Dreadfleet character, which is a naval-based game that Games Workshop invented, that Creative Assembly are taking their inspiration from for this character. Now you can see the original drawing of the character in the middle here, between the video and the sort of new picture we have of him released today. And I think all in all, they've done a pretty good job. There's a couple of small touches, like his skin tone isn't quite the same, and his hat is redder, but he looks a bit more worn in, a bit more sort of really nicely done with the seaweed growing out of certain parts. But they did also change out his weapon. In the game, it seems he had a sword, whereas now they've given him a halberd. We have to imagine that gives him some anti-large properties as well, although that wasn't mentioned in some of his traits that were brought up earlier today. So, all in all, I think fantastic attention to detail on some of this stuff. Even so far as like the two daggers in his hat, you can see them on the model to the right. I just think really well done, and a fantastic rendering to life by Creative Assembly. They really do some splendid work on stuff like this. So, apart from the way he looks, what else have we got in store for Count Noctilus? We have his faction effects. Now, his faction effects really kind of boil down to the fact that he maybe gets some specific missions for himself. He gets what are called war declaration missions. Now, I have to imagine these are like the sort of sub-missions you get in the campaign, but he'll get a particular type where you have to declare war against a faction. This is just what I'm having to guess. And then when you declare war, you get a temporary boost to what looks like your recruitment, the amount you can recruit in a single turn, as well as the kind of reduced time, particularly to recruit Necrofix Colossi. Now that's kind of great, and it ties in a lot of his traits. We're going to go down this list, tying with the idea that he can put together a lot of Necrofix Colossi, basically sort of ship parts made with a lot of dead bodies. Now this plays very much into his lore. The idea is that he kind of discovered this alternate dimension, this kind of Davy Jones locker, if you will, where a lot of bodies and a lot of shipwrecks end up being sucked into from the sea. Now this would essentially give him unlimited access to the necessary ingredients to make Necrofix Colossi, which is namely corpses and basically ship hulks. So it makes sense completely in the lore that he'd get this bonus, although he was never tied to this unit in the Dreadfleet game or anything like that. Although I will say his ship, the Bloody Reaver, was constructed by pulling together the wreckage of other ships into this massive, huge titan of a ship that he used to go around the seas in. So it plays in very well, very nicely done by Creative Assembly to tie that all together. Now, as far as his Lord effects is concerned, again tying it to this strength with Necrofexes, and that is that they are cheaper for him to have, and he also gets an increased bonus to all monstrous units and their strength, their weapon strength at least. And so that's fantastic. That kind of gives him a thematic idea of that if you're going to have him as an army, his armies are maybe going to be more monster-based than necessarily troop-based or artillery-based, like some of the other lords we'll probably see coming up in the next few days. So very much a monster-focused lord here, and that adds an interesting dynamic to the whole faction, I'm sure. Now, as a mount, obviously, the first leak of him being a potential legendary lord was even in the trailer, where we saw him on top of a Necrofix Colossus, so not much of a surprise there. Now, here's a fun little detail, his unique item, Captain Roth's Moondial. Now, this ties in intrinsically to the lore of Dreadfleet. Captain Jago Roth was the guy who was hunting down Count Noctilus. He was the good guy of the campaign, and he was hunting down Count Noctilus and his dread fleet. Now, what he did was, he was a well-known pirate. He was the son of a very famous mapmaker based out of the pirate island of Sartosa. And he went around for many years and eventually got a hankering for home and decided to return, only to find Sartosa burning and the Dread Fleet kind of moving away. He went to his family home, discovered his wife and children massacred, and his father dead as well. But his father's corpse had been kind of hiding or collapsed atop several different magical items, one of which was the Eldritch Moondial, so Captain Roth's Moondial. Now, here in the Total War Warhammer 2, what it looks like it's going to do is grant extra line of sight and extra campaign movement. Now, it'd be a bit strange if you only had one magic item, and maybe they're just telling us one, but there are others, or they might just have one. I don't know at this point. But it'd be interesting, there were some other items there. I think one was an Arabian spyglass, and one was something else, and they were all Captain Roth's, which suggests that as far as the lore is concerned in Total War Warhammer 2, Jago Roth and the good guys of Dreadfleet lost that. And I expect that will be reinforced with the idea of this upcoming legendary lord, Aranessa Saltspite. And she was a good guy in the game, and they may have turned her to vampirism because the good guys lost. That's basically the universe we're living in Total War Warhammer 2. So it's a nice little addition there, a nice nod to the lore in Dreadfleet. So I like that. It's a fun little item for him to have there. Now, moving on from the items, let's have a look at his sort of unique skills that you get. And the first one we have is Master of the Dreadfleet. Now, this basically means that lords that he recruits in his faction are going to get a bonus experience rank when they're recruited. Kind of simple, you get the idea. The next one, Regenitive Halts. Now, they're really going for a strong regeneration theme with him because I think they're trying to tie it to, like, Vlad and his regeneration, because obviously Count Noctilus is von Karstein. He is probably made by Vlad, or one of Vlad's sort of sons, if you were, vampire sons, I guess is the way you describe it. And so he kind of has from that lineage. So I think that's what they're going for, Creative Assembly, in terms of a lot of this stuff. And that ties into his power of regeneration, and that extends beyond himself, basically really meaning he has good casualty replenishment when he's replenishing from battle, and he can recruit quickly as well. A couple of these things have this recurring theme of him being able to recruit quickly. The next one down is a Vandal, and that is basically the idea that Horde growth, his ship, which will act like a semi-horde in the campaign map, will grow quicker. You'll be able to build buildings quicker, and income from raiding settlements is up a bit as well. So kind of a double bonus there, nice to have. The next thing of the Van Karstein line is what we've been talking about. He'll have a pretty strong regeneration. Now, I'm not sure if regeneration will stack with the hunger. I can't remember how that went with the Ghoul Kings, but it looks like he'll just have a stronger regeneration than most of these other lords will be seeing in this army. So, good to have, and yeah, it means he might actually recover from injuries a bit quicker. Now, the next one down is Sea Curse, and this is effectively a leadership buff and a melee defense buff for Depth Guard, which are going to be the equivalent of Grave Guard for this faction. We saw a couple of them in the trailer. They're all holding halberds, so kind of very different from the Grave Guard, but that looks like, I'm guessing that's what these are. Deck Droppers, who are the zombies being carried by Felbats, and Terrorgeist, which we know very well from the game already. So just kind of veering you towards maybe recruiting some of them, some monsters, and you've really then got a very sort of infantry-focused, monster-focused, anti-large-focused army if he gets an anti-large bonus as well. So kind of fitting into those things, but I'm guessing his strength is not going to be in the areas of artillery and stuff like that, although it does look like the Necrofix Colossuses, or Colossi even, can fire as well. So, you know, he'll get his artillery buff from that, rather than cannons and handgunners and stuff like that. And the last one is Invincible Fleet, which just means his army will get a leadership buff overall, and that he is himself unbreakable. So that's a good bonus to have. And, you know, early on, very powerful for a Legendary Lord to have as well. He's not going to run, he's going to stay in battle no matter what, and he's going to fight to the bitter end. So that is the unique skills for Count Noctilus. So moving on from that, overall, I think it's going to be a very interesting army, very different. I get the impression that maybe Luther Harkon's armies will be a bit more missile-focused, whereas Noctilus is obviously a bit more melee-focused, it looks like, from this kind of initial skill set. So next up, let's have a look at his starting position. We knew this as soon as we saw it added in on the map, the Galleon's Graveyard, right here between Ulthuan, Lustria, Araby, all the major spots, kind of right in the middle of the new world. Now, we haven't had confirmation yet whether this sort of bit of land will be added into the overall Mortal Empires campaign. We have to hope it will be, or they might just start him somewhere else in Mortal Empires. But looking forward to seeing that. A lot of variety. You can go and raid off the coast of Ulthuan. You can really hit all of the major factions from there pretty easily in the Total War Warhammer 2 game. And you know, it's a bit of a trek to get over to the Warhammer 1 races, but it's fine just doing that. So a real variety of stuff you'll be able to get up to, variety of enemies. You have Norska up there off the coast of Lustria as well. A lot of different stuff going on, and it should make for a pretty exciting campaign from the starting position. So moving on, let's have a look at the Horde aspect of him and his special ship, the Bloody Reaver. Now, my only problem with the Bloody Reaver depiction in this, and it looks like they're doing this kind of pixelated, almost throwback to an adventure game art for all the ships to show them off. But the one thing this doesn't capture, and maybe it's because it's further away, or maybe they're not doing it, maybe they're just making a normal sized ship, is the sheer size of the Bloody Reaver. Now, to give you context, let me give you some images, and I'll maybe show you the model as well from the Dreadfleet game. Now, from the Dreadfleet game, as you can see on the right-hand side, there's the illustration there, and you see kind of a normal ship, a normal Empire ship, compared to the sheer size of the Bloody Reaver. It has a castle on it. It's similar in size to a Black Ark. So that's kind of what you're looking at, and I hope they represent that in the campaign map. And maybe in the battle maps as well. We've been told that Black Arks have a particular special kind of map, so I hope the Bloody Reaver does as well, because by all accounts, it's a moving, massive hulk of a thing that is comparable to a Black Ark in many ways. So I really hope they sort of put him in that category with the Bloody Reaver. But apart from that, I'm very excited to see Noctilus. I love the nods to the Dreadfleet lore, and overall, a great addition. As you can see, they kind of kept true to the color of anyone's kicking off against the pink color faction there of the sails as it was originally depicted in the Dreadfleet game. So that's about it from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this news update. There'll probably be another one today, and I'll try and get on that a bit quicker than I did yesterday's news. But as always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.